The range monitoring group is just a small group of ranchers that wanted to get together and be able to share data. I'm Chris King. The ranch is called Josie King and Sons, and it's about 10 miles southwest of Winnett. Initially, there were 3 ranchers. Bill Milton down in Musselshell County, we're up here, and Casey Colder over in Garfield County. Bill kind of was trying to start this range monitoring group and said, why don't we get together and try to work together and develop a format that we all agree is valuable and that the state and federal agencies will agree is being done in a correct manner such that they would accept the data as credible data too. Which I think is really important, because in this part of the country where the state and federal land is all intermixed with the private, it's good to have everybody on board. We weren't necessarily researching plants or the actual range. We were trying to research a protocol about how you would collect this data. So the data we're trying to collect, you're basically just cataloging what is there. You take some photographs, you list the different species you see, when you lay your frame on the ground where you have this certain area, and it's on a tape so that you're laying your square, hopefully within a bit of an inch, exactly the same place each year, so that you have something to compare. I mean, obviously you want to look at the plants that grow in there, but you also want to look at the amount of bare ground that might be there, the amount of litter that might be on the ground, and certainly the water infiltration. There's different things besides just looking at a plant. On Milton's ranch, it was quite degraded, but his management practices have improved the quality of his rangeland. And quite a bit of his range is BLM, and the BLM people are looking at it and saying, we agree, it is better. And the BLM has agreed to increase the numbers he can run on his allotment, because they're saying the range is better, it will support more cattle now and still maintain good quality forage. Setting this up can be time consuming, and there's cost involved with that. And that seemed to be a hurdle that we just kept bumping. We've been working on this for 7 or 8 years or something like that. So you can only go so far with strictly volunteer time and all those things. And so we just weren't quite getting over the hump. And that's where the Western SARE grant, we thought if we can get a little bit of funding, then we can get somebody to kind of organize and help us get this going. And more recently, this past summer was the first time the range monitoring group actually hired someone to do that monitoring. And that's great, because then you have the same person working on different ranches, plus then you have that third-party disengagement where they should give you an unbiased report, and that should make the data more valuable. It's always been important to build something that's credible, not just to ranchers, and we don't necessarily have all the expertise. So there's a number of people involved that, a retired professor from MSU, and we wanted some agency people, BLM people involved, people who formerly worked for the NRCS and things like that. So we wanted to engage with people that had knowledge in the specific area. And I am optimistic and believe that as we become set up and going forward, there are going to be more ranchers that are on the edges right now watching, and they're going to say, well, yeah, I'll participate in that. I think it can become a self-sustaining thing. Most ranchers are realizing the value of the resource. I mean, 100 years ago, people just turned out cattle on the range, and it was there, and why not? I mean, this is the way it is. But I think increasingly we're realizing that if you want to be sustainable in your business, then the first thing that has to happen is you have to have a sustainable resource for your cattle to graze out there. So those things have to go together, and I think people realize that you have to have a little bit of data to know that things really are going in the right direction. Bill Milton received the Leopold Award. He and his wife were the first ranch in Montana to receive that award. And a couple of years ago, our ranch received an environmental stewardship award. I've always believed that there's always more to learn. And even when you think you're doing a great job, you could probably be doing a better job if you had a little more information or a little bit of new knowledge. I like the idea of comparing data because you can always learn from other people. I think it demonstrates that we have a real concern for the habitat here, and hopefully the data will say that we're managing it well, and if it doesn't, then we need to change our program such that we are doing a better job. I think anybody that's trying to figure out ways to maintain a quality habitat, if they have an idea that they want to pursue, but they don't quite have the financial means or whatever to get something going, then grants like this, like the Western States grant, could be valuable and worthwhile. Sometimes a grant is just what you need to get something going.